And we are back to the fifth and the final segment of the GSMC Basketball Podcast presented by the GSMC Sports Network. And in this final segment, I will be talking about Jamal Murray and the likelihood of him signing an extension with the Denver Nuggets. Now, this article says that the extension is coming. Like, it definitely is coming, but it's most likely going to happen after the Olympics. Like, according to NBA reporter Bennett Durando of Denver Post, Jamal and the Denver Nuggets will likely agree to an extension after the Olympic Games. With 1 year remaining on his contract, Nuggets guard Jamal Murray is eligible for up to 4-year, $208 million extension this summer. And the Athletics' Shams Charania reported in June that the two sides are expected to agree to a max this offseason. Durando also wrote, "So why hasn't that extension been signed yet? Extension talks are temporarily on the back burner right now, but Murray and the Nuggets will likely come to an agreement after the Olympics are done." According to a league source, Murray is going to make $36 million next season in the final year of his contract. He signed a 5-year, $195 million deal with the Nuggets back in 2019. Ended up being worth it because the Nuggets ended up winning a championship later on. And he's one of the top guards in the NBA and arguably one of the more underrated guards in the NBA. He hasn't been an all-star, yet he was in the running for being a finals MVP, and he also got a triple-double in the finals, along with Jokic being the only two teammates that were able to accumulate a triple-double in the finals in the same game. He averaged 21 points, 4 rebounds, 6.5 assists last year, along with 1 steal, and was shooting 48% from the field and 42% from 3. Like, that is insane. And on top of that, he turns into a completely different animal when he goes up against the Lakers. Now, they went 57-25 in the regular season, and of course they beat LA in the playoffs, but they lost to Minnesota in the second round where the team failed to close out in Game 7. Now, he was the 7th overall pick back in 2016, and he averages 17 points, 3 rebounds, 4 assists for his career. Denver, they recently lost KCP to the Orlando Magic in free agency, and they also signed Dario Saric, who played for the Golden State Warriors the last season. So the core of Murray, Jokic, Aaron Gordon, and Michael Porter Jr. should remain intact going into the next season, which are really your main options on the team. Jokic is the 1 option, Jamal Murray is the 2 option, and you can flip-flop between Aaron Gordon and Michael Porter as being the 3rd option. So many NBA executives expect Denver to win the championship next season after coming up short in this year to try and defend their title. Now, I think this is a great contract, and I really think that, the reason why it's being held off until after the Olympics might be because Jamal wants to sort of prove that he might even be worth a little bit more money than what he's eligible for. Now, because the Olympics, they are a completely different ball game. But if you play well in the Olympics and the coaches see that you play well, maybe it would convince them to sort of give him a raise and, give him a lot more money than what is expected of being eligible of a $208 million extension. Excuse me. But again, as I say before, the Olympics, they're a completely different game than playing in the NBA. But if you're able to be just as good of a scoring option overseas and in the Olympics, that's just more incentive to wanting to have you on the roster. Obviously, with Jamal Murray and the value that he brings to the Denver Nuggets, they should want him on the roster regardless. But maybe this is sort of just like a waiting game to see if he can make a little bit more money than is expected. I hope that in the Olympics he doesn't get injured and that ultimately ruins his chances of making all that money for the Denver Nuggets. But even then, when Jamal Murray went down with that huge injury that almost costed him his career, he was very, very scared on whether or not he was going to get traded or whether or not the Denver Nuggets were going to let him walk. But the coach reassured him that he was staying on the roster and they weren't going to give up on him. And it ultimately ended up proving to be a good move. Like, thank the Lord that they didn't give up on him, because if they didn't, or if they did give up on him, I should say, then Denver probably would still have 0 championships and would not have a banner hanging up in their rafters right about now. Now, let me know in the comments what you guys think. Do you guys think Jamal Murray is rather underrated? Do you think he's a bit overrated? Because I don't think he's overrated at all. And the fact that he hasn't made an all-star game it could be seen as criminal, but it really just shows like how talented the rest of the Western Conference is, and just how, because again, this man was averaging 20 points and was shooting 42% from 3, along with 48% from the field. That is crazy numbers. Obviously, he gets a lot better looks at the basket because he's paired up with Nikola Jokic. But aside from that, you still have to hit all those threes. And the fact that he was able to do that is nothing short of impressive. And it really shows just how talented the rest of the Western Conference is when, you have a guard that's averaging 21, 6, and 4 and shooting 42% from 3 and not making an all-star team. Like, that is insane. Like, if this was a few years ago, he would most definitely make the all-star team, in my opinion. But, this just goes to show how the league is changing and how it's advancing and how it's progressing with the talent that is in the NBA. And also, it could be seen as, it shows that a lot of haters and a lot of the older audience would blame this, scoring outbreak as the defense just being a little bit weaker than compared to every other era that is in the league. But aside from that, I genuinely feel like this has nothing to do with the defense being, quote, softer. I think this just is a result of NBA talent and the average NBA player just being better than the previous average NBA players were back in that era. But agree to disagree on that topic. And if you guys want me to sort of break it down a little bit more, maybe I'll do a segment on that. Just let me know in the comments. But aside from that, we are out of time for this podcast, and that is all that I really have to talk about with Jamal Murray signing the extension. So just expect an extension after the Olympics. But aside from that, that is all I have for you today. Thank you so much for tuning into the GSMC Basketball Podcast, presented by the GSMC Sports Network. Your support means a lot to us, so please remember to subscribe to the show, leave a positive review. It really does make a difference. We also invite you to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram for more content and updates. And as usual, please remember to use the link in the description, use the link in the description to get your comments recognized, or the link displayed below the ticker on every show segment. That is gsmcpodcast.net. Really helps the show, makes it much more interactive between myself and you guys. Once again, thank you so much for tuning in. I am your host, Nelson, and as always, take care. I'll see you guys live tomorrow at 12:30 usual time where I do my streams. So take care.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day. Yeah, I'm tired of shit, and the coffee ain't hit yet, damn, ain't that great.